Let's take a moment and talk about the comic book industry, one of my favorite subjects. Now, I want to show you this. This is the November top 20 quotations adult graphic novels. I think they put that on there so that they don't embarrass the comic book novels because they don't sell nearly as good. There's actually more data for them to use here. And keep in mind, DC and Marvel can make this list. The problem is just nobody's buying them. Look at Chainsaw Man right now. Every single volume is almost on there. Popularity of that book or that franchise, to be honest, is through the roof right now. So Chainsaw Man doing very well. But it's all Viz Media on there except for First Second Books and Del Rey. Other than that, it's all stuff from Japan. Manga has completely taken over the American comic book industry. And they don't really have any competition. Marvel Comics are in a really bad place. DC Comics are in a really bad place. And there's a lot of rot in the comic book industry. A lot of just nasty people have failed upward. And, I mean, it's a long story. It would take a long time to talk about. It's better for a stream or a more longer video. But they've completely wrecked the industry. And now I'm wondering, ICV2 used to put this out, top 50 comics. Is actually the top 200 comics. They didn't do one last month. And I don't see one for November yet either. I'm wondering if they're going to stop doing this because you can point out how embarrassing it is for a lot of these woke comics because they're not on the list. You can also make fun of DC Comics who barely make this list. And if they do make this list, it's all Batman comics. I've talked about this before. A lot of these like really shitty Marvel titles aren't on here either. Like they're not even on the list. And the reason I'm talking about that is because of Captain Marvel. They're currently on issue 44, I think, of Captain Marvel. And when it eventually reaches a certain point, what they'll do is they'll cancel it and then they'll reboot it into another number one. And that will actually put the sales back up. The number one will boost the sales, honestly, back up into the top 50. And then it will quickly, really fast, fall off the chart again. It's kind of funny. And we're going to come back to this chart in a second. But I had to start this video off talking about Captain Marvel. Because the writer of this book had a little bit of a meltdown the other day. A little bit of a breakdown on Twitter. Says, the way dudes get upset about a perceived Mary Sue is so embarrassingly telling. We understand you are afraid of being laughed at. And yeah, we're effing laughing because you're effing embarrassing. Now, Kelly Thompson actually isn't the worst writer. She's good at writing okay comics. Sometimes she can write a pretty good one. She's not the worst writer. I'm going to be up front. But she's not immune to attacking fans and going after people. Like, this is kind of unprofessional. But to be fair, everybody in the American comic book industry does this shit now. And just makes statements going after fans that criticize the books and stuff. This is why I don't buy new comics anymore. I don't buy them anymore because they're worse than fan fiction, to be honest. I buy one or two here and there, but for the most part, it's all manga for me and facsimiles. If you don't know what that is, that's when they take old books, like from the Golden Age, the Silver Age, or the Bronze Age, and they reprint them exactly as they were back then, except they're a little bit smaller. They're more of a standard comic size. Those older comics were a little bit bigger. And they even put the ads in there that were at the time. They're pretty cool. Those I'll buy all day. But as far as this new shit, I don't want it, and I'm not the only one. That's why you see manga dominate the charts. People still want stories like this. They still want comics. They just have to go to the Japanese now to get them. And American comics only have themselves to blame. So she says this, and of course she got clapback from it. And then someone says, how them comic sales doing? She says, pretty effing great. Thanks for asking. About to write issue 50 of Captain Marvel. Okay. Comic sales are doing pretty good. We can fact check this in real time, actually. So a comic that's doing pretty good would be on this top 50 list. I'm actually going to show you where it's actually at on the list of 200. But the reason I'm talking about the top 50 is because this is where the little bit of money that's made comes from. A Batman number 126. Now, we don't have the numbers, but I guarantee you that that's over 100,000 units sold. We can go by the Comic-Con numbers when they used to publish them. So Edge of Spider-Verse, probably over 100,000. Predator 1, probably over 100,000. Amazing Spider-Man number 7, probably over 100,000. And then as you go down the list, they start getting smaller. So Hulk number 8, probably at like 70,000 units. You come down here, down to Punisher number 5, probably about 20,000 units. Okay? Spawn number 332, probably somewhere around 20,000 units. It's tough to say, I'm guessing, but I'm going to be generous and say every comic book on this list is making about 20,000 sales. At $3.99 a piece, I think you're making a little bit of money there. Some are a little bit more, and they're like $4.99 now, but I digress. Her book's not on here. That means that Kelly Thompson's Captain Marvel is under 20,000. In fact, I would say it's probably only selling about 10 to 13,000 units a piece, like every time one comes out. So the reason I'm saying that is because thanks to Green Lantern Optimus Prime here, he posted, but you have to pay for to see on ICV2. You have to pay for this. He points out here that her book is actually number 132. At least Captain Marvel number 40 is, which means number 44, which is where we're currently at, is likely around the same number. Notice it's down here with reprints. Like, a lot of these are reprints. Like Wolverine Patch number 5, that's like a reprint. Gambit number 2 of 5, that's probably the second print, stuff like that. So Captain Marvel number 40 is sitting at 132 out of 200 on the top 200 for September 2022. That's pathetic. And look at this. A reprint of Amazing Spider-Man Annual Number 1 Facsimile Edition is selling better than a modern, just off the presses, Captain Marvel. This is embarrassing and sad. This is why she ended up muting the thread, because everybody started to talk about the fact that she's lying about the comic book sales. If you're down there at 132, that means you're probably selling 10,000-ish comics. That's embarrassing. Really embarrassing. That means that book is going to get canceled. So she's at book 50, as she points out here, at issue 50. So probably pretty soon they're going to reboot it to another number 1. It'll sell for a little bit, and then it'll fall off the presses again. This is what Marvel does to kind of inflate things. So when they get that low, they reboot. They sell some issues again, then it falls off the charts again, and then they reboot, sells again, then it falls off the charts, and then they reboot, and it falls off the charts. They have to keep publishing Captain Marvel because she's a big part of their MCU plans, but they're not publishing it for the sales. It's being published to save face. It's pretty sad. Pretty sad. So it's funny to see them attack fans, go after people, try to like poke the bear. Like, this isn't something you should be doing in the comic book industry, but these people don't learn. Like, Marvel has to cross over with the X-Men to try to sell this stupid Captain Marvel book. Like, which sucks if you're an X-Men fan, because then you have to go buy the Captain Marvel book. So maybe they'll boost some sales that way. Some fighting the Brood. I guess Rogue got captured by the Brood. So she's helping them rescue her, which she hates Rogue, but because, if you know anything about the character, Rogue stole her powers once. But This might boost the sales up for a minute because X-Men collectors will now have to read the Captain Marvel book, but it won't help. It won't help. It's not going to magically be revived from this because it's not a good book. Or maybe it is a good book. I don't know. Like most people, I'm not reading it. So this is the problem with the comic book industry right here. And they just want to continually go after fans. And, I don't think you can afford to lose what little you have left. Anyway, just fun little story here. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Also, don't bother anybody here. Leave everybody alone. Let's just talk about it here. So let me know what you think in the comments. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Check out my Rumble, my locals, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.